San Francisco tells the story of two worlds living side by side. On one hand, the glittering power of Silicon Valley, a symbol of innovation and endless wealth. On the other, the painful reality of homelessness, tents stretching across sidewalks, lives hanging by a thread. So how are you managing? Well, I get about $900 a month, which isn't even close to enough to survive in San Francisco. This isn't just a city in decline. It's a place where the promise of progress has failed the people who need it most. What does advancement really mean when thousands are left behind in the shadows of skyscrapers? In this documentary, we uncover the sharp contrast between innovation and the poverty that thrives just beneath its polished surface. A closer look at the numbers and the reality. Homelessness in San Francisco has reached a breaking point. The data paints a picture that's impossible to ignore. The 2024 point-in-time survey shows a 7% increase in homelessness since 2022, with 8,423 people now without stable housing. More than half, 4,355 individuals, live completely unsheltered, exposed to the cold nights and scorching days with nothing but the sky above. The rest find temporary shelter, but even those spaces are disappearing. Despite billions of dollars poured into programs, the problem keeps expanding each year, layer by layer. And here's the part that should make us all stop and think. The number of families experiencing homelessness has risen 94%, climbing from 205 households to 437 in just a few years. These aren't faceless statistics. They're parents, children, veterans, and seniors trying to hold on to any piece of stability left. In one of the richest cities in the United States, entire families are being pushed onto the streets. They're not living, they're surviving day by day with no safety net beneath them. And then there are the veterans, men and women who once served their country, now sleeping in doorways, struggling with trauma and addiction, abandoned by the very system they defended. What does it say about us when those who sacrificed everything are forced to live in despair? How can we stay silent while children, parents, and the elderly fight to survive on sidewalks? These are not just numbers to hide behind. They're reminders that homelessness isn't a lack of shelter. It's the failure of a society that was meant to protect its people. How long will we look away? How much more suffering will it take before action truly begins? The time to confront this crisis is now. The history behind San Francisco's homelessness crisis. San Francisco's homelessness problem didn't appear out of thin air. It's been building for decades, rooted in economic inequality, skyrocketing costs, and years of flawed policymaking. The seeds were planted in the 1980s when affordable housing vanished and mental health services collapsed. By the 2010s, as housing prices climbed past 1.4 million, the crisis exploded. By 2025, San Francisco is expected to have the highest home prices in the entire country. How can an ordinary person afford to live where even rent rivals a mortgage? This isn't just a housing issue, it's a symptom of a deeper divide. The rich continue to grow wealthier, while the vulnerable are pushed further to society's edges. "I'm basically homeless," one resident says. "Rents went up everywhere, I couldn't keep up." Then came the COVID-19 pandemic, turning struggle into catastrophe. Those already on the edge fell further, jobs lost, savings drained, and safety nets snapped. Despite good intentions, city responses have failed to tackle the roots of the problem. Policies like Housing First, which focus on placing people in homes before addressing mental health or addiction, are widely debated. Critics argue that without treating the causes, housing alone is a temporary fix. San Francisco spends over $1.1 billion a year on homelessness services, but oversight is weak and results remain unclear. So the question remains, does more spending equal progress, or are we just covering cracks with money? If homelessness continues to grow despite massive budgets, maybe it's time to rethink the entire strategy. The human cost of homelessness. Behind every statistic about homelessness in San Francisco lies a real human being, someone's parent, child, or friend, fighting to survive another day. Over 70% of the city's homeless population struggles with mental health challenges or substance use disorders. It's not just the absence of a home, it's the presence of invisible battles. Depression, trauma, and addiction weigh on people's shoulders as heavily as the cold fog that rolls through the city at night. More than half of those living on the streets are battling substance dependence, and fentanyl has become one of the most devastating forces behind the crisis. But addiction is only one piece of the puzzle. Many are dealing with untreated mental illnesses, from PTSD to deep depression, making every day a test of endurance. The care they need simply isn't available on a large enough scale. Mental health clinics are full, rehab centers are few, and waiting lists stretch for months. Without consistent treatment, people are left to fend for themselves in conditions that strip them of dignity and safety. The opioid epidemic has only deepened the wound. Each week, more people fall through the cracks, lost to addiction and despair. This isn't only a homelessness issue, it's a public health emergency. But not everyone on the streets is there because of drugs. Many are victims of mental illness left untreated, people who once worked, paid rent, and lived ordinary lives. When the system failed them, they had nowhere to go. San Francisco's mental health infrastructure is underfunded and overwhelmed. Without proper care, recovery becomes almost impossible and the cycle repeats itself endlessly. So what happens when someone struggling with addiction or mental illness is left to survive alone? The pain intensifies. The cycle continues. Until we address these root causes, the crisis will only grow deeper. Is providing a bed enough? Or should we start confronting the deeper wounds that drive people to the streets in the first place? The solutions and efforts being made. Despite the scale of the crisis, San Francisco hasn't stood still. The city has introduced a range of programs aiming to create real, lasting change. One major initiative is the Home by the Bay program, which focuses on expanding affordable housing and shelter capacity. Its goal is to help over 8,000 individuals each year move towards stable housing, a step toward balance in a city where wealth and poverty live side by side. Another key effort is rapid rehousing, designed to move people from temporary shelters to long-term homes with ongoing support. It's helped some, but critics argue it doesn't go far enough to tackle addiction, mental health struggles, or the lack of affordable homes. Under Mayor Daniel Lurie, outreach programs have expanded, and new projects like James Baldwin Place provide sober living environments for those recovering from addiction. The city has also started clearing large encampments, especially in areas like Tenderloin and 6th Street, offering safer housing alternatives. But these actions have sparked debate. Are we helping people find safety or simply pushing them from one corner to another? California's Project Home Key has turned hotels into affordable apartments, a creative move that's given hope to some. Still, it only reaches a fraction of those in need, revealing how wide the gap remains. Non-profit groups have become the backbone of compassion. Organizations like Episcopal Community Services, ECS, and the Human Services Agency, HSH, offer shelter, meals, healthcare, and job training. but they are stretched to their limits. The number of people seeking help grows faster than resources can keep up. The crisis isn't just about finding space, it's about building systems strong enough to hold human lives together. The ongoing struggles and challenges. But every step forward, San Francisco faces another obstacle. The city spends roughly $100,000 per person each year on homelessness services, yet only 13% of those who get help find permanent housing. That number raises a hard question. Where is all the money going? Clearing tent encampments may look like progress, but they often just shift the problem elsewhere, from downtown streets to city parks or airport terminals. People lose the few belongings they have, and the trauma deepens.